Well, we're here. Last time we saw you doing one of these, you were gearing up to be a father, not a fight. So how's fatherhood been since that last fight?
It's incredible. It's everything I imagined and more. It's easily the best part of waking up in the day.
Sleep schedule thrown off yet?
You know, I wasn't much of a sleeper before anyway, so not a whole lot has changed in that aspect. But, you know, I give up all my sleep if I can spend more time with her.
And smooth ride with the Tesla, right?
The ride is smooth, that's for sure. Yeah, thanks, Elon.
Well, looking at your next fight, obviously you got Islam Makhachev, a fighter a lot of fans assume is going to be a contender, if not a champion, in the future. So looking at him, what do you make of his skill set in there?
I mean, he's as complete as you get. He can wrestle, he can do jiu-jitsu, and then he can strike. And in all those things, he's quite capable. So, he's a great fighter.
When we spoke with Cody Stamen in media day, I asked him to compare wrestling and Dagestani wrestling. He said Dagestanis tend to, they work the top upper body a lot more than Americans kind of go for the legs, maybe a little more double legs, single legs. Would you agree with that assessment?
I mean, in MMA, yeah, but not in wrestling, like in collegiate wrestling, or not collegiate, freestyle wrestling. I would say it's very similar. They spend a lot more time on legs as well.
And finally, what do you see in Islam, if anything, that maybe his previous opponents haven't been able to take advantage of? Because he's winning, but he's also not really dropping rounds in there, too.
I think pressure. I haven't seen anyone really pressure him, and it could be because they couldn't. They weren't well-rounded enough, because if you try to pressure him standing, he takes you down. If you try to, apply some jiu-jitsu, his wrestling's so good he doesn't allow you. So from what I've seen, they haven't been able to put pressure on him because they don't have enough skills, the well-roundedness required to do that. And I think I'm the guy to do that.
Beneil, just in front of you. Oh. Is fighting Islam one of those things where, okay, I just have to avoid getting onto the floor and beat him in the striking game? Or do you think, no, I can out-wrestle this guy?
Nah, I don't care where the fight goes. I could do whatever I want.
Do you think he's overrated or underrated or fairly rated by the fans? Because everyone's saying, like, oh, this guy's a future champion, but he hasn't faced the top tier in the division yet. So what do you think of him?
I think he's fairly rated, yeah. I just don't think he's ever fought me. That's the difference.
Is he one of those guys where if you win, it's just a massive impact, right? Because no one else has been able to touch him for a while and all that sort of stuff. So do you beat him, you think, I'm a title contender right now?
I mean, I would assume so, but, with Conor always around the corner, with, I don't know. There's always something around the corner. So I would assume so. This is a title eliminator. I assume I'm going to be fighting for the title if I win this fight. But, man, Lord knows, I don't know.
I think there's a world where Conor comes back and fights Oliveira right away.
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, does that even make sense? I mean, if you're from whose perspective that makes sense. So but I guess if it makes sense money-wise, it makes sense.
Thank you.
Beneil, far right over here, Colin Crandall from MMA Power Hour. Good to see you. What's your thought about the comparison between Islam and Khabib? A lot of people say it's the same guy, essentially, just a little younger in Islam and a little different skill set. What do you feel as far as that comparison?
I would disagree. I think stylistically they're definitely not the same. Both great fighters. Just stylistically they don't do the same things. You'll see Khabib shoot like 5 to 7 times in a round just to make sure somebody gets tired, while Islam will be so accurate with his feints and striking, and then we'll get that one shot, and that one shot will put you, and then he'll be able to hold you. So they're not that similar, in my opinion. They have similar techniques and they have similar goals, but the route they take is not similar. So I guess you could say they're similar in that they want to do the same thing, but they don't take the same route.
Gotcha. What would be more fun for you, if the fight stayed on the feet or if there was a lot of scrambles and groundwork?
The way I've been training, it honestly doesn't matter. What would be fun is if it turned into a contest of wills, because the skill set is so evenly matched that somebody has to break. That would be interesting. That would be fun for me.
Absolutely. 2 last real quick ones for me. finding someone that can mimic the guys from Dagestan and the top pressure that they put on has got to be tough. Obviously, you don't want to give away all your secrets, but are there some guys out there that can kind of mimic that a little bit?
So my jiu-jitsu coach is Romulo Bahau, and he's ADCC champion, jiu-jitsu world champion. He has all the accolades in jiu-jitsu. And every time I train with him, I get smashed. So it's not, getting smashed isn't anything new for me. It's been how I train for most of my life, and it's how I've gotten better, because I've always had people better than me. I have people better than me in wrestling. I have people better than me in jiu-jitsu, and then same thing with striking, and that's helped me develop the way I have. So I don't think it's going to be anything new if he can get me down.
Gotcha. Last one for me. I know you're not really a gambling man. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're not at all. But when you look at the odds and you see it looks like 3-1 Islam, and you hear some hype, a lot of people saying don't sleep on Beneil, but then a bunch of people saying, oh yeah, Islam all the way. What are your thoughts, and what do you think of those odds?
I didn't know the odds, but I think those are silly odds. That's what I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Beneil right here, over the top. Beneil, obviously any main event is a big deal, but it feels like even from the fans, there's quite a bit of hype for this particular matchup in general. Are you feeling that? Do you feel, whether they're on your side or another, that, hey, a lot of people are just really paying attention to this one?
From the people around me, I do feel it. I don't spend a lot of time looking to see what's going on, but I feel it from the people around me. You can tell there's a different energy. They're like, you're fighting this Goliath, right? So I can see that in a lot of people's eyes, and I'm just looking forward to this.
Do you think ahead about, hey, if I get this done, am I interested in being a backup for Charles Gaethje, anything like that?
I try to focus on the day. Like, today, what I have to do for today, and then let tomorrow be tomorrow. It's too far ahead to even think about.
Then just from the outside looking in, just what's your assessment of the title fight coming up that we're expecting between Oliveira and Gaethje?
I think if Justin does his homework in jiu-jitsu, his wrestling is really good, and what Justin has that I think Charles doesn't have in the stand-up is better feints and better movement, footwork and angles. If he could put it all together, I think Justin's gonna get the KO. The issue becomes, I think, for Justin, if he falls into the trap of, oh, this guy's standing in front of me throwing knees, throwing kicks, throwing punches, and I'm going to meet him with that. I think that would be a mistake.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Beneil.